Hi there lovely people, welcome back. Today is going to be a little longer than usual, so grab yourself a cup of tea or a drink and let's get started. So I'm gonna give you all the tips and strategies on how to ace this test. So I assume that if you're tuned in, you either are going to be doing your PTE test for the first time, or you want to know what PTE test is all about, or maybe you didn't pass in your first attempt. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to break down all the PTE module, and that will be the read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retell lecture, and answer short questions. But before that, I know a lot of people struggle to make a decision on whether they should sit for IELTS test or the PTE test. There is no question about this, there's no argument about this. PTE test is certainly the best English test that you can sit for, and I'm going to explain this as I tackle every other task. But the most important factor is that it has something called partial credit. So you probably have seen people in PTE getting an overall score of 90 and 90 across all bands, which 90 is a perfect score. This does not happen in any other test, so it's very scoring. And the fact that it has partial credit, whereby, for example, there's a task called read aloud that I'm going to be talking in depth about it. But this particular task, because you get a text and you have to read it, this text will give you 5 marks towards every question that we do, will give you 5 marks towards both speaking and reading. So because read aloud has 6 questions, each question has 5 points, so that will give you, if you do it exactly how you're required to do, you're going to get 30 good marks towards both speaking and reading. So even when you get to the reading module, you already have 30 points. So if you're aiming for 65 for your nursing registration, you only need to look for 35 marks in the reading module. It doesn't get any better than this. So I really hope that these tips and strategies will help you to ace that test in the first attempt. So in regards to the read aloud, this is the first question, but before you start the test, you're required to test the microphone. So what you do is that you put on the microphone and then your headphones for that matter, and you need to say something. So you hit the record button, and for example, when I sat for the test, I said, "My name is Stella. I'm here to take the PTE test for the purposes of my PR mic testing 1, 2. And once I could hear myself crystal clear, I played the playback and I could hear myself. That way I knew that the microphone was working and I was ready to start the test. So this is so important, guys, because if that microphone is not working, honey, you're not going to be able to record your sound. And remember, this particular test has no human interaction, so it's fully computer based and it's unbiased. So if the computer is not able to record you or is not able to hear your voice, then unfortunately there's no way that you can get a good score in the speaking module. So I have been training a couple of students here and there. So what I tell them is that if the microphone is not working, please ask the invigilator to give you another one, because you totally deserve it. And that particular test goes for $375. So you're not taking any chances with a microphone. So with a read aloud, you get 6 questions. Each question has about 5 marks. So you get various texts that you have to read. And this particular task will give you marks towards reading and speaking. But the first things first, you need to remember that this particular task, you need to read everything exactly how it is. So they give you 25 seconds to prepare, so you have time to prepare, to read it in your mind. Once you're done preparing, then of course you hear a short tone, which is in form of a beep sound or something like "dee," and then you need to speak for at least 40 seconds. So what I do with this preparation time, I make sure that of course I am really reading every single word, because the PTE speaking module is marked against 3 factors. The first one is content, the second one is oral fluency, how you articulate yourself, the third one is pronunciation. So make sure to enunciate those words very clearly. I know sometimes people overpronounce the words because they probably think the computer is not able to hear them, but please try to sound as natural as possible. So oral fluency is about speaking in a very effortless manner, speaking very naturally, in a very natural way for that matter, and also ensuring as you speak, you have good intonation in your voice, okay? So it goes something like this. So if I was to attempt this question, how would I go about it? I would say, once you've picked a general topic for your paper, you need to come up with a thesis. Your thesis is the main and focal point of your paper, and it's the position you'll take on your particular topic. Formulating a strong thesis is one of the most important things you need to do to ace your paper. So a lot of people ask, well, do you need to speak that fast? Absolutely. What I've realized with this test, it does not favor people who speak slowly, okay? They say you speak in a natural manner, but what I recommend is that observe punctuation, and that's why they give you 25 seconds to prepare. So only pause if there is a comma or a full stop or any other punctuation marks. Otherwise, take a deep breath before you start speaking, and then ensure that you can read the whole text without stopping. So I'm gonna do that again. Once you've picked a general topic for your paper, you need to come up with a thesis. Your thesis is the main and focal point of your paper, and it's the position you'll take on a particular topic. Formulating a strong thesis is one of the most important things you need to do to ace your paper. So good intonation, ensuring your grouping, and that's pretty much it for read aloud. The second task is repeat sentence, and with this particular task, you hear a sentence and you have to repeat it. If you repeat that sentence exactly how the speaker said it, then it gives you 3 marks. If you repeat at least 50% in the right sequence, then you get 2 marks. If you repeat less than 50%, unfortunately you're going to only get 1 mark. And if you say one word or nothing, then it will give you a 0. In repeat sentences, you get 10 sentences, one after another. And with these 10 sentences, as we said, if you repeat 100%, that will give you 3 marks per sentence. So repeat sentence has 30 marks towards both listening and speaking. As we spoke about partial credit, anytime in PTE you're required to use 2 skills, then it gives you marks for both. So you gotta listen to the sentence. Once you hear the sentence, you have to repeat. There is no short tone. There's no beep sound that's gonna prompt you and tell you, well, now it's time to speak. So how it works is you hear a sentence. I'm gonna demonstrate. You hear a sentence. Once you hear a sentence, then you're going to have to speak.
Professor Smith will be late for today's lecture.
And then immediately you see turns to recording and you speak. Professor Smith said he'll be late for today's lecture. So might not be 100%, but if you add or omit any words, then that will give you only 2 marks. So please make sure that you're looking at the computer screen. So every time you hear a sentence, you have to make sure it's recording, then say it. I don't have any tips per se for repeat sentence because it's based on your short-term memory. Practice makes perfect, so make sure you practice. And the other technique that I use is that when the speaker says something, I try to make a mental picture. So if he says, Professor Smith will be late for today's lecture, I try to think about, well, I am a student. The name of the professor is Professor Smith and he's gonna be late for today. So if you're making a mental picture and you're not trying to memorize each and every single word as a speaker is talking, you have a better chance of getting the answer right. Let's do one more repeat sentence.
The circulation desk is located on the ground floor.
The circulation desk is located on the ground floor. So you can also imitate the tone of the speaker in order to ensure that you get those 3 points. The other third question, this one is describe image. With describe image, what you do is that you get images and you have to describe the images. And these images can be bar graphs, photographs, pie charts, tables, Venn diagrams, all these kind of images. And the key to this is ensuring that you have a template. So with describe image, again, the 3 factors that matter is content, ensuring that you have at least 5 sentences while describing. The other thing is that oral fluency. Ensure that you do not pause or hesitate while you're speaking. Ensure that you speak in a very natural way. I usually compare the computer test or the PTE test to speaking like a news anchor or a radio presenter. You have to make sure those words flow with ease, okay? The other aspect is pronunciation. Do not overpronounce. Try to sound natural and ensure that every single word that you say is quite clear. So with describe image, I'm going to share the template that I use, and the first thing I say is that the image in front of me, I say whether it's a graph or a line graph or a pie chart or whatever it is, then I say taking a closer look at the image, I talk about the y and the x axis, and then I say from an overall perspective, I dive inside the graph and I give the highest followed by the lowest value, and then finally I give a conclusion. So it's important to speak in a logical manner and ensure that you have an introduction, one introduction statement, 3 body sentences, and a conclusion. The image in front of me is a bar graph illustrating Spanish-speaking countries by population. Taking a closer look at the image, the y-axis shows the various countries such as Peru, Venezuela, United States, and others. On the x-axis, we have the population in millions from 0 to 100. From an overall perspective, most people who speak in Spanish live in Mexico with about 80 million, and the least is in Chile with less than 20 million people. In conclusion, this is a well-detailed bar graph. So that is pretty much how to go about it, and you can use this template for any other image. So looking at this table, I will say image in front of me is a timetable for Monday semester 1. Taking a closer look at the image, the classes start at 9 a.m. and finish at 4 p.m. From an overall perspective, the students started their classes early with introductory statistics, followed by psychology lecture. After that was followed by a lunch break, and it's also interesting to know that after the lunch break, the students had 2 more additional classes, which included English literature tutorial, economics, and finally they went back home at 4 p.m. In conclusion, this is a well-detailed timetable. So please ensure that you just have one template and just repeat those sentences exactly how you would for every image. The image in front of me, taking a closer look at the image from an overall perspective, and in conclusion. When you follow that template that I've taught so many of my students, you will end up getting an excellent score in describe image. The third question is Retell Lecture, and with this particular question, you're required to listen to a lecture for about 40 to 60 seconds. Once the lecture is finished, then you have to speak about it for about 40 seconds. The key here is your note-taking skills. So make sure to take good notes, that way you're able to, of course, speak for at least 40 seconds. And of course, just like all the other tasks, you're marked according to your content, which of course you should ensure you at least have 5 sentences. The other aspect is oral fluency, and lastly is pronunciation. And the key with this one, again, make sure that you have a good template, and the template that I use is the lecturer had a discussion about. Firstly, he mentioned numerous details about. Furthermore, he also stated that. Lastly, he said this, and then overall the lecture was accurate and concise and can be used as reference for future studies. So make sure to, of course, try out a few Retell lectures using that template. The last task is answer short questions. This is whereby the speaker just throws to you a few questions here and there in regards to just general knowledge, and these questions, there are 10, and these questions will ask you things like, what is the first meal you take when you wake up first thing in the morning? And the answer is breakfast, and all you need to do is answer in one word, and that will complete your speaking questions, which is in PTE test. The first question is read aloud followed by repeat sentences, describe image, Retell lecture, and finally you have answer short questions. Just a few common mistakes that students do. The first one is not waiting for the short tone before they speak, so make sure to always wait for the short tone. The other common mistake is not ensuring that your voice is being recorded, especially in questions such as repeat sentences. Ensure that your voice is being recorded. So once you hear the sentence, look at the screen and ensure that your voice is being recorded before saying the sentence. And the other aspect is, of course, make sure after every question you click next, because you should be fully in charge of your test, and the computer is not going to prompt you to the next question if you don't click next. So I hope this was informative. If you would like me to answer other questions in regards to reading, of course, the listening and the writing, please leave me a comment and I'll be glad to do so. So thank you so much, guys, as always, for watching. Make sure to check out other videos as well, and I'll see you guys on my next one. I hope this was informative. Bye.